I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby, and we would like to welcome Julia Floch-Carbonel to our film, hair, and makeup panel for Netflix's Emilia Pérez. So first of all, Julia, we have to talk about the fact that Carla Sofia Gascon plays two characters that look completely different from each other. And I want to kind of start with Manitas, the evil drug lord. What can you tell us about that look?
That look, we tried like prosthetic start 1 year ago before shooting. It's Jean-Christophe Spadaccini who creates this beautiful like texture prosthetic nose and cheeks. And then like we went like I didn't, but it was going on a Narcos classical 70s way, and we didn't like it so much because we've seen it and it's not really. Jacques Audiard wanted scary. He wanted scary. He wanted a chimera. He said that word many times. So like a rumor, a ghost, or a scary presence. And the thing is, Carla is really feminine. She got feminine feature, especially the mouth, who is really full and sexy, and like she's beautiful in a feminine manner.
Mm-hmm.
And so we couldn't go really around this mouse. And so I thought to myself that maybe something like the wrestler, Mickey Rourke, this type of physical and the in-between, the coquetry, but with texture, and we can tell the fight with the nose broken and stuff. Maybe it could work with this mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we added a lot of texture and shadow to blurry as much as possible is Manita's face. And we keep Carla hair. First, we thought about a wig and something, but I was like, no, let's go for it. Like, so like we, like go as far as we can, like to make it a long forehead, sorry. And I was afraid for Carla for this part. I was afraid that she would be eventually hurt. I don't know the story behind it, but like I was praying like. And as soon as we find Manitas and this character with really shiny velvet like jogger and grill, and she went for it. She was really excited. Her way of moving was changing right away. She was enthusiastic, like 100%. So it was a relief for me, like, because I knew that she could play, like she was already playing on my chair. So.
Mm-hmm. And you said the director wanted scary. I mean, he got scary. Manitas was terrifying. The tattoos on the face, the fake teeth, the beard, the bigger nose, the bigger cheeks. I'm curious, how long was Carla in the makeup chair?
For prosthetic, I think first off, Jean-Christophe took maybe 1 hour and a half, and then we, as makeup and stuff, and Simon, my co-chief artist, like helped me with beard and stuff. I would say like 3 hours, and then we went go to 2 hours and 13. And yes, it's a bit scary. The tattoo helped a lot because it looked like a social suicidal. We still feel that tattoo on the face is like kind of a social suicidal, so it helped a lot, yeah.
And there's the pivotal moment in the movie when Manitas wakes up in the hospital bed, and now he is Emilia. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of bruising and scarring and bandages. Talk us through that specific look.
Well, first off, it's the first time on the movie that the light comes in, and that we are not shooting at night or pretending it's night. And the idea of transition is not about the physical transition. This physical transition helped symbolically to let Manitas having feeling and express feeling and meet love and meet woman world, our children, ex-wife as woman. And it's Manitas who goes through love because he's trapped otherwise. When he's cartel, he's trapped in this role and persona, he has to be scary. He's trapped. And like that's why Rita, when she met Manitas, like Manitas is in the trailer. He's always like square in the night, and he want to escape and to express love. And so the hospital part is a rebirth. So I wanted a lot of texture. The little skin that we see, it's a rebirth to light, and as newborn, there's a lot of material and moist and human fluid.
And we should talk about Zoe Saldana's character of Rita. She has her own transformation throughout the movie. At the
Every
beginning,
actress has.
yeah, and at the beginning, her hair isn't as perfect as it is later, and her makeup.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how she changes?
Well, the thing is, Zoe in real life is perfect. She is like elegant, like you can't even imagine. Like even going to toilets, I guess it's something that like it's in slow motion how perfect she is. So the thing is, the most work that we had is to kill that, is to for the wow effect of Rita going to London and having money and power. We had to find a Rita with low self-esteem, who work a lot for bad men and evil men, and can't access with this glasses roof, can't access to what she deserves, especially as a black woman too. It's talking about that. So like Zoe is like so sophisticated that we were searching most of it Rita first. Because of the dancing and stuff, we wanted another nature of hair, more curly, more natural to black hair. And also because it's so beautiful as Zoe, her hair, like we pinned it like every time for her to dance and to do not show too much femininity. She wants to disappear. She disappeared. Like she's not like, she's in this gray, like cheap costume, no shine, no great fabric and stuff. We add some pad too. Virginie Montel and Ariane Dora add some prosthetic too in the costume to make the body of Zoe not so perfect. Even with the prosthetic, she's perfect. But like, just to show eventually bad food or what comes with no money. And that's it. She accepted. She was like really, really, she played along. Like she accepted having bushy eyebrow, a little shadow of mustache. We were searching for the little imperfection, and we put some dots in it. So that's what I prepared with Simon, but then came along Vera Stenberg with our makeup artist, fabulous makeup artist. And they switch and they go really well because Vera knows perfectly Zoe. They do most of the time really beauty. But once we design that, they go for it, and like it works so well, I think.
Oh, it did, definitely. I have to mention Selena Gomez's character of Jessie. She has this beautiful white wig with the dark roots.
Yeah,
What was the inspiration for her look? She was kind of a wild child character.
exactly. That's exactly. I couldn't say better. Jessie is like this cliche of head cartel wife trapped in a relationship with cliches that goes with it, like being protective, not working, and being a mom like so soon. She's so young. And so she can't really escape. We don't know that at first. We just see this woman like who look, she's very girly, she got tacky clothes, and and then she's a widow. I mean, she believes she is a widow. So her path, her transition to her is to go autonomy, and to go also like she's okay to be a kid now. She doesn't stay like to be the wife of someone. She go to Europe, called Switzerland, I think. And so she embraced European standard too. Like she's really white skin, she's blonde with dark roots, because you can't go really blonde with Selena. She got something with the eyebrow and stuff. Like it's better to have roots to make it rock and roll and Debbie Harry, and because we know she's not blonde. So it has to be like for it to be rock and roll, it has to be roots. And the square, and for her, the transition is to be allowed to be just a girl, not a wife, not a mom. She's just a girl, and she's going wild, and she's a party girl, and she's in love, and she's young again.
Well, Julia, thank you so much for chatting with us today. I learned
Thank you.
so much.
I'm so happy
And
to
we
be with you.
will, yeah, we'll see you in a little bit at the group roundtable. I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby, and we would like to welcome Giuliano Mariano and Jana Carboni to our film, hair, and makeup panel for Gladiator II from Paramount Pictures. So first things first to both of you, I want to talk about the spectacle of the sequel. How many total actors, background extras would you estimate that you worked on for this project? Who would like to go first?
Well, I think it was quite, was quite scary because the scale was big, very big. So we had around, I would say, 25 characters, and then we had like between 700 and 1,000 extras dailies with all the different looks, patrician, slave, gladiators, concubines, little rules as well. So was big and scary.
Yeah, and Giuliano, did you want to add anything to that?
No, it was a really huge project. With lots of actors, different roles and different coming almost daily. Like we were sometimes fit the actor and then quickly and find a perfect look as well, and go, and the extras were like huge, like as well as Jana said, we had many days with 1,000 people, and all of them in different looks in Gladiator, and
yeah, and the trouble, I think, because as you know, like Ridley shoot with multiple cameras, they all have to look great, and also the way we shot Gladiator, they really built like Rome. So it was a massive set, which means that this was the reason why we always have so many extras, because basically we fill the set almost every single day. And with Ridley working with different cameras, we have to have, like in the crowd especially, like different team who will follow the different camera to be sure that what they're basically filming look great. So it was a lot of planning, organization. I think the 3 words probably will be, of course, creative, but I think also pragmatic and lots of stamina. These, I think, the 3 words of Gladiator. What do you think, Giuliano? Don't you agree? I mean,
stamina is one thing that we Ridley you must have, because really, it's asking a lot, and of course we like to deliver as best as we can. So we had a team as well helping us with with everybody, with the actors and of course and crowd. Yeah.
And you both wanted a new vision for this movie, and not just to be a copycat of the original Gladiator from 2000. So how did you go about achieving the new look, the new textures, the new makeup, the new hair? And what were your early conversations like with Ridley Scott, the director? Jana, do you want to tackle that?
I think what is very special about Ridley is the fact he never liked to repeat himself. That's why it's lots of fun, because every job is different and for real. So, and as you can tell, like, Giuliano and I were Italian and we're Roman. and it was like a dream come true for us. So we want to have like you say, like a totally different approach, something new, something fresh. So for certain things, we went a little bit more academic, but in general, we want to have like a modern approach. So a lot of the inspiration was the Orientalists, the painters, of course, like the Villa de Misterio Pompeii, but a lot of satirical as well. And then mostly we're feeling our gut, that kind of instinct, and they give you the right vision. So sometimes you cannot really explain that, isn't it? But I think this was the mix of this together. And but a big help, I'm pretty sure, was the fact that Ridley gave us lots of freedom, and he trusts us, and he liked a bold approach to the project, so he wasn't afraid.
The Emperor brothers are so wild on camera. Their personalities, yes, but also their looks, the pale skin and the orange hair. Giuliano, can you talk about those characters? And was there something hidden in Fred's hair?
No, it was, the inspiration for them, which of course they have to, Ridley wants them with the same color, both of them, with this strawberry blonde, which we need a few stage of coloring to reach exactly the right blonde that will fit them as well. So going, to what Ridley was asking, which was as well an inspiration taken from Johnny Rotten from Sex Pistols, and you can see this clearly on one of the emperors, where the hair are more spiky. The one, where actually you were saying before that the animal was picking something from his hair. Of course, it was just they were playing well, but it was the process of that was really nice, because when at first we started, both of actors were a bit like scary, because of course it's such a big change of look for hair and makeup as well. But luckily then they embraced the idea, and slowly we get where we really wanted to be with them. So we have something very strong and powerful, but keep them as well a little bit different. So there is one that is more kind of Roman and wavy style, all the hair going forward, and the other one more like spiky and crazy, and and more playing a lot with his hair as well, and that was very, very, very fun to do. The look was incredible, and
yeah,
for us, for me and Jana, was very important that the actors were happy with that, so they actually enjoyed it, and you can see that on set as well. That's really, they really
embrace it. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like Giuliano said, and of course, Giuliano and I, we work very close to each other. And like Giuliano said, of course, they have to go, run different tests for the color, because then they have to match the makeup base I was working on. So it was a very strong connection between Giuliano and I to make the vision, looking great all together. Because I guess for me, the goal with them was about making them look almost the kind of white translucent color of those crises in the Caravaggio painting, which is almost like pearl. It's almost like ghostly surreal color, and I want for the audience to actually see the makeup, because they were when you were in that kind of powerful position as emperor, you will wear your makeup almost with a kind of with the braveness, it was like almost like a status symbol, and like it was interesting, because although there were similar base and similar like vibe, there are two different kind of makeup. So for instance, Caracalla was more like kind of soft and peachy, and we put this kind of little probondo in the skin, because we want to have a like that feeling almost like old scar from acne, and some cuts from the monkey, a little scratch if you notice. So for him, it was more about covering up his bad skin, and again, more like soft, more orientalist. And Gaeta was actually more vain. So the way he was wearing the makeup was to look, beautiful and ethereal. And then, like Giuliano said, it was fun. It was lovely to see them embracing the process and actually making their own makeup and their own style, and see even, different scene, like especially when is the battle between Marco Acacius and Lucius, you can see like Gaeta is really going for it. And because it's almost going trans, when they say the god has spoken, and it's like this kind of black eyes, and I have to look a little bit off as well. And they love it. And I said to them, for me, the biggest compliment was the fact you trust us, and you enjoy, embrace it. It was lovely. It was really, really lovely.
We are almost out of time. Is there anything you wanted to tell us about Paul Mescal's character of Lucius? He's always running around covered in blood, covered in sweat. That must have been a challenge.
Yeah. Well, if you think we're shooting Malta, it was like 48 degrees, and even Morocco was very hot. So, and Paul has several tattoos, and although he's this beautiful Roman profile, it's very Irish, so it's very pale. So, and I want to have, like a very, not like a pretty tan, something more like kind of deep and reddish. So I decide, so we cover tattoo, we put the tan, and the tan was body makeup, it wasn't spray tan, because to go that deep, you need to have like body makeup. And plus on top, you have to put all the scar, the wounds. And like you say, you have to be sure that everything stay on during the day because of the sweat, the water, the blood, reset the blood. So it was a lot. It was really, really a lot. And he did all his stunts. So that means he was doing all the fighting.
Wow.
So it was incredible to watch. I mean, it was really good fun.
Yeah. Keeping it was a really, a big struggle, because, as Jana said, with the weather and everything, the sweat and the dust and the wind and everything, it was, but it came out, I think, exactly as we wanted.
Yeah, and also the thing, like Giuliano and I were looking after personally him, because we want to be sure they look exactly the way we wanted. But of course, that means then we used to have a veil on the set, and then we used to run to the crowd to set all the looks for the crowd and to make demos and to be sure everything was fine. And then, of course, we're doing all the demo for the new looks for the other characters. So it was a big task, because, as I say, it wasn't just creative. It was about organization, and was like a massive, like a city. I mean, it was huge. It was I don't think they make this kind of movie anymore. I really don't think so.
It was
very
definitely
special.
It's a very special movie, very epic in scale.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for chatting with us, and we'll see
you.
you in a little bit at the roundtable panel.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby, and we would like to welcome Steve Newburn to our film, hair, and makeup panel for Bleecker Street's Sasquatch Sunset. And I see you've invited a guest behind you, Steve. What can you tell us about that bust?
That's Jesse, Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah, we just threw one together for the shop. I mean, he's one of our favorite characters we've done. So
yeah. And how do you go about, I guess, what is step one when you're doing a movie where all of your characters are head to toe, makeup, hair? What is your first step in the process?
Well, this one was a bit of it was a bit different from our usual process, just that it came up during COVID and kind of at the height of it. And everybody thought, hey, it's the perfect movie to shoot during COVID. It'll be outside and we'll have a bubble and you won't have to worry about it. And then the financing didn't come together, and suddenly it was 2 years later before we actually made it. But, we talked about it for 2 years, and, I'd thrown together some early Photoshop renderings with my team and kind of presented them to David and Nathan, the directors. And it's the usual kind of creature design process for that sort of thing. And we were pretty much on the exact same page right from the start. for what we were thinking. So, over time, it was like, because it was on and off. Oh, we're going to start. We're not going to start. Oh, something fell through, blah, blah, blah. We'd kind of started meeting with the actors and getting life casts and the usual, again, so we can work on their forms and bodies and faces and whatnot. And so we kind of collected all these things over the course of that 2 years. And then it seemed like it was going to fall apart again. And our original female, who wasn't Riley, she'd bowed out because she thought it wasn't going to happen and took another job. And then Riley was kind of a last minute addition that was like 3 weeks before I went to camera. And yeah, and then kind of the schedule got dictated by her schedule, as I understood it, which was she had another project to go to. It was like 3 days after we wrapped. So we ended up just hit the floor running and had about 6 weeks to pull the whole thing together, the whole movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Jesse and Riley, were they completely on board to do whatever was needed of them? Because I mean, these characters do some wild things, let's just say.
Yeah. I mean, yes, they were. And I mean, funny enough, Riley's the one who wanted to really push to keep the road scene, which seems to be the one that's the most out there for most people. And I know there was some questions of, do we keep it? Do we not keep it? And she was like, don't you dare take it out, so. But Jesse was, he was great. They were both great, with the makeup, but Jesse kind of looked at it as that was the challenge of the part, was getting into all this and experiencing this and being out in the wilderness and, not ideal conditions, not on a sound stage, no air conditioning. I mean, we're just out, and if it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside or if it's freezing outside, it didn't matter. We did both, and and it was what it was, and they dealt with it.
And how do the actors actually get into the costumes? It looks like maybe they put it over their head, and then does something come up from below as well?
Well, from the neck down, I mean, we kind of consider that a costume. I mean, it's a bodysuit that goes on like a wetsuit, and hands and feet and all that stuff are separate. But the whole, from the collarbones up, it's all glued down prosthetics. There's a back of the headpiece and a face and lower chin and lip and all lace pieces, all for all the hair and stuff on the face. It's all knotted human hair lace pieces. So it started as about a 2-hour process to put them together, and kind of whittles down the more times you do it. And we were doing it 6 days a week. So yeah, got it a fair bit faster. And Riley had just had her child at the time and was anxious to get home. And so she'd come in a little bit. I mean, she'd come in with everybody else, but it was kind of like, she's got other things on her mind with the baby. And so I was applying hers, and I actually had that down to under an hour by the end of it. Like just go, boom, boom. And, make the most of it.
And so there's 4 main Sasquatches. And how do you go about making sure they each stand apart from each other? Do they have little, quirks to them that people may notice when they watch it?
Yeah, I mean, certainly Nathan, who's one of our directors, I mean, he's the alpha, and he was kind of the stereotypical kind of brutish, the mean one, shall we say? I mean, the villain of the story. I mean, sort of, and we gave him more the stereotypical Sasquatch look that's been done for years in jerky commercials and horror films and all the other stuff that are out there, which is just a little bit more angry face, angry browed, whatever, that sort of thing. But we did want to have unique looks for all of them that fit their personality. I mean, Riley is kind of she's the one holding everything together, right? She's kind of the stereotypical female character, unfortunately, that's like kind of, I mean, even in their society, it's she's kind of beaten and battered and just like, how am I going to keep these clowns alive? So I mean, we wanted to have that kind of just drained and tired and everything look to her. And I mean, so all of these things were characteristics. Christoph, who's the child, we did larger sculpted forms around his eyes to make his eyes appear larger. It's that sort of thing. So there are sculptural things going on. But I mean, ultimately, it's like each one has slightly different personas that are written in the script that we just kind of took those ideas and kind of translated them into the sculpting for the facial structure. So like our guy here, he's supposed to be the inquisitive one, you know. I mean, he's and you see that in the movie. He's always trying to learn to count, and he's the intellectual, the poet, whatever you want to call it. And it's just kind of like, we didn't want to make him look too smart, you know, but we didn't want to make him look too dumb either. So
He needs to stay away from logs.
logs, yes.
What can you tell us about the little baby Sasquatch that was so cute? Was this, it looks like it's, at some points it was animatronic and other points maybe a puppet. Was there different versions?
Well, there was kind of our stunt version. I mean, they were basically built in the trailer because our prep schedule is so compressed. But there was our stunt version that just kind of got dragged around. And I mean, it's kind of funny to watch it because I mean, I've heard it from a number of people. It's like, oh, she's just kind of, and it's like, well, go watch a chimpanzee, and that's kind of how they carry their babies around. They're not like humans. But then there was a mechanical version as well that had movement, and it was intended to be and was occasionally rod puppeted, but actually Riley kind of jumped in as she would carry it, and you know, as it was breastfeeding her, that sort of thing. She would actually get in there and just kind of subtly manipulate the legs, the arms to give it a little bit more life. And then, you know, from chest up, it was mechanical. So we'd get this for, again, the feeding, like the sucking thing and head movement and that sort of thing. But it was a little limited just based on the fact that, again, it had to be built in the trailer just on the prep schedule we had. So.
And the characters, they're, I mean, head to toe covered in hair. Where do you source so much hair? Like where does this come from?
Well, the heads are all human hair. And they're just built the way any wig would be built. We'd done the sculptures and taken little molds of the sculptures and castings of them and you know, knotted up these things one hair at a time, like you would any wig that's custom made. And you know, the bodies are it's a combination of yak hair and synthetic and a few different things that are mixed together. There's a company in the States that makes the stuff. It's NFT, National Fiber Technologies. And then a lot of the chest hair is also human hair that's punched.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the eyes, because I imagine you have to spend a lot of time to make sure, because like, unless I'm mistaken, the eyes are the only thing of the actor that we actually get to see. So how do you work around that with the makeup and the prosthetics?
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a discussion we had really early on about, like, I mean, if we're going to cover these guys completely, you know, we don't want to lose all the human in them, and the emotion and so much of the performance. If you're getting these actors who are there to perform, don't lose the eyes. It's the, you know, the window to the soul, so to speak. So it's like we didn't want to go to contact lenses or anything like that. So we knew it was going to be their eyes, and so it's like the prosthetics are just sculpted right up to the waterline of the eye and right, you know, down under the brow, and yeah. So when they're applied, they're just it's the normal process for prosthetics. You know, just kind of get right in there and just carefully work it around their eyes, into the wrinkles are in there naturally, and yeah, hopefully you don't see it.
Yeah. And well, Steve, thank you so much for chatting with us. Are we ever going to see a sequel, Sasquatch Sunset?
No, we'll have the Abominable Snowman or something. Yeah, I don't know. That's a Nathan and David question.
All right. Well, we'll see you at the roundtable in a little bit.
Thank you.
Well, I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby, and we would like to welcome back to our film, hair, and makeup panel, Julia Floch-Carbonel for Emilia Pérez, Giuliano Mariano and Jana Carboni for Gladiator II, and Steve Newburn for Sasquatch Sunset. So for everyone, I kind of want to talk about how the director of the film, or a TV show if you're working on that, impacts your work on the makeup and hair, and what kind of discussions you've had with directors in the past that have maybe changed things or enlightened you on some topics. Let's go ahead and start with Julia first.
Thank you. With Jacques, it's more like I have an amazing artistic director called Virginie Montel, who works a lot and know how to transcribe Jacques' thoughts. They are also partner in life, so it helps. But like with Jacques, he's really a poetic guy. So we throw some words and we have to find a way to make it like material. And what's interesting with him, it's like every question that we ask, everything gonna be questioned. The color of everything, like the texture, everything. And you think you locked an answer, the next question will probably reload the answer before. So it's a really circular way of thinking and working. So it's moving all the time, and you have to go with the flow, and it's really passionate in so many ways. Tiring too, but fascinating.
A good tiring.
A good tiring, a challenging, like it was the most challenging thing that I have to do, but it was the most interesting thing that I've done. So I'm really happy. I'm really glad. But Virgin Montel is my first interface.
Jana, how about you?
Well, specifically with Ridley, we always talk through images, which is good fun. You know, sometimes I see something actually, you know, keep my attention. And even if it's not necessarily like directly, you say, part of what we're doing, but I have that kind of vibe. I'm thinking about it. It really does understand. So I think we talk the same language in a way. And I think I learned from him about don't be too academic, because my background was very academic. So it was about the perfection of the historical, and but I learned from him that when you have a very solid culture knowing, then you can start to play, and then so you can do your homework, but then you have to let it go and follow your instinct and your vision and make your heart beat. And it's fun because I say he's not boring. He loves to have fun. It's not scared about, you know, doing something to be over the top.
Giuliano?
Oh, well, yeah, it is as Jana said. You know, it's very aesthetic. He likes to push a lot. You know, he doesn't like painting, and you know, even if we did a period movie, and many things were period, but then in some characters he likes always to, like, you know, not to be too academic, as Jana was saying, and going actually a bit more crazy, a bit more fun in a way. And I really love it. I love it because I came basically with the same background as Jana, so very, you know, strict when you talk about, you know, period. If it has to be Roman, it has to be exactly like this, exactly like that. And but I actually like to go a little bit more, you know, play around a little bit with each character, you know, with each hairstyle and coloring, of course, especially in Gladiator. We were saying before about the emperors, where with them especially, you know, we play a lot. You know, we push a lot our
yeah, I think like Ridley always say that the vision have to give you an emotion. So you need to feel something when you see a character. So it doesn't have to look perfect. I have to give you some. It's like when you look at a beautiful painting, you know, or like a beautiful like modern art. I have to give you the kind of, you know, feeling. So yeah.
And Steve, you're kind of in an interesting situation because your director is also, or one of your directors is also one of your actors.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, sometimes for this kind of work, it can be difficult with the back and forth with the director. This was obviously an exception. One of our directors is actually one of the characters. You know, but yeah, as I said in my solo thing, we kind of came up with some basic photoshops just right off the first discussion, and just like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. And they were like, this is exactly what we were thinking. And it was like, it couldn't have been any easier, honestly. And it was just kind of just going through the tiny details of it, and how do we bring out the character of, you know, each of these personalities that we have. And how do we not lose the actor that's in them, since we've hired these actors? If we have Jesse Eisenberg and Riley Keough and these people that are, you know, A-list actors, you know, like, I mean, let's not lose them so it could just be anybody under there. But that's kind of a given, kind of, for what the nature of the project was. So for us, it couldn't have been any easier, the back and forth in the dialogue.
I'm curious, have there been any really noticeable technological advances in the makeup and hair process over the years? Is there anything that's easier now than it used to be back in, you know, even a decade ago?
Well, I think, you know, probably what I'm thinking about is when, you know, when we moved from working on film and then became digital. At the beginning, it was a little bit scary because, of course, it was a different way to, you know, approach to makeup. But I think now the technology, once it becomes so good that even if you shoot like in digital, you still have that kind of feeling almost in like in film. So it's never too harsh. At the beginning, it was very harsh. It was very like definition, and I felt it was a bit too much. But no, I think, you know, I'm still very old school, to be honest. You know, I'm very intrigued about new technology and new stuff. But I'm quite old school. Like, sometimes I quite prefer to stick with what I know better. But, you know, I mean, like prosthetic, of course, the pro bono has been a massive, you know, change for us. But I guess it's more for prosthetic. I guess, you know, with the laser, you know, with the print laser, you know, it's a big difference now.
Yeah. Anyone else have any ideas on how the makeup and hair has evolved over the years, and has it gotten better?
I totally agree with
Go ahead.
what she said.
No, I mean, obviously for this kind of thing, with the prosthetic stuff, it's always evolving. You know, and we're bringing in the new technologies, as she mentioned, the you know, scanning now as opposed to traditional life casting, and you know, and it's not, you know, 90% of the time that's great. It's not quite there yet, and you still have to do a lot of retooling if you do it that way. But you know, materials are changing and evolving and that sort of thing. But it's still falling back ultimately to the tried and true. And I mean, especially these days, because you don't get 9 months anymore to prep something most of the time, you know, as far as where that used to be kind of the norm, is you get, you know, months and months to prep stuff. And now it's like, it's expected in a month or two.
That's so true. This is a very topic,
yeah.
actually. Yeah.
And all the, you know, and you know, it's the same for the VFX guys, though. I mean, because they're losing the time on the back end too these days. So I mean, it's just, it's the movie machine these days. Is just, it's kind of forced just more of a streamlined process.
Are there any misconceptions about what you all do that people at home may not understand? Like maybe even your friends and family don't quite get something specific that you do that you always have to explain a part of your job.
Giuliano, my dad still doesn't understand what I do. So.
Yeah, people think that all these characters just come to work like that themselves.
Exactly. Sometimes, you know, especially when the look is very natural. Or it looks very natural. They really think that, you know, I just came, you know, like, you know, just a little thing, that's it, done. Most of the people actually don't know what is behind, you know, every single, you know, look, and even the most natural one. Sometimes behind there is a lot of work that actually to make it look nice and natural, like, which is in reality is not exactly as they, you know, as they see the end of it on the screen. So.
Yeah, especially with wigs and facial hair. It's so true. I mean, and I have to say this to Giuliano, you know, most of the time he put those wigs, which they don't look wigs, and people, they think they are the natural hair. And then they say, oh, I love your hair. And the actor said, no, actually, it's a wig. So it's, yeah, I think sometimes they understand that the work there is behind. Or I think sometimes it's more, the question I've been asked most of the time from people actually that know in the business is how you come to the idea. What is the process about the idea and how you decide to go from something then something else. But yes, you know, I think they're in shock when you talk to them about the hours. I always say we're like farmers, you know, wake up very early and we go to bed very early.
I'd agree with
Steve.
what they were saying, just throwing it in there on, I mean, it's obvious, you know, with a prosthetic thing like this, it's obvious what we've done, but I mean, there's so much when you get into just subtle human stuff and whatnot. And if you've done the job right, you may not even know it's there. And we hear it all the time of like, well, what did you guys do? You know, it's like, well, it's half their face is covered, you know, and it's not them, you know, so it's, you know, if you've done your job right, hopefully nobody does notice. So it's not necessarily a bad question of like, what is it you do? So
yeah, actually, like that happened with the emperor, with Caracalla. I told you know he had this probondo pieces to make his skin be like, you know, post acne. And I remember someone said to him, "Oh my God, you know, what happened to your skin?" Like I said, "No, this actually is a piece." I go, "So it's not my skin." So like, you know, more you go subtle, and more people then they don't realize it's makeup or hair, you know, and it's a tricky goal to achieve, you know. It's actually, I feel sometimes harder to achieve that achieve like a big makeup or like a big hairdo, which, you know, so it's a fine line. It's a, you know, it's a fine work.
And for each of you, I'm curious, what made you want to get into this profession, and how old were you when you knew, and maybe were you watching a movie and said, that's what I want to do with my life? Julia, let's start with you first.
For me, because I start to draw like really early, and then I study art like in high school and then after. But I didn't like this world of art, and I like to draw people, and it wasn't that popular. It was popular a century ago, but like not that much right now. And I didn't want to talk about myself. And art is about, you know, a lot of, it's like a therapy. I don't know. So I said, what can I do with all that I've learned? And makeup was perfect. It's behind the, you know, the curtain, and it's face. And I can't like get bored with face, never, especially woman's face. And so I start this way.
Okay. What about you, Jana?
Are you gonna laugh? Because then you understand that universe, you work in very mysterious way. So the movie actually made me want to be a makeup artist was Blade Runner. So it's so weird thinking that, you know, 30 years later, you know, I'm here working with Ridley Scott. So that was, you know, I was quite amused about that. You know, I still cannot even get over that. But very
Did
similar.
you tell Ridley?
Sorry?
Did you tell Ridley?
Yes. Yes, of course. I mean, yes. I mean, it was something, that movie really changed. I still remember like stupid thing, like a little thing. I remember, you know, Sigrid River wearing this nail polish. It was like a kind of brownish matte brown color, which, you know, maybe it's very trendy now, but it wasn't trendy at the time. And I said, this, you know, so cool. And that was Alien. And then like, you know, Blade Runner, all the kind of very modern, very like almost like deco style. I mean, it's like, I have to say, his movie that really influenced my imaginary, and that's why I want to become like a makeup artist. And I think it's true. It's even about the relationship you have with the actor, the fact you can tell a story through makeup. And I did like art school, and it's like painting, and it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel happy. You know, I'm in my happy place when I do makeup. So yeah.
Giuliano, when did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I've been a hairdresser for most of my life. I come from a family of hairdresser, but mainly everybody was working in salon, so fashion and, you know, and salon job. And I started as well like this. And then at some point I was just looking for, you know, new things, new, you know, I wanted to go, you know, courses stories and many things and but I was feeling that, you know, it was still too not too adventurous, the work, you know, in the salon and stuff. So then when as soon as I had the occasion, you know, to try and, you know, and work in the film industry, I fall in love immediately. And, you know, I saw that each time, you know, you can do something different, you know, with each director, you can, you know, you have a different approach of the job. And you know, I started in the film industry was probably 20 years ago. So it's already a bit, and yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, I wouldn't go back, never, to the salon. Like, you know, I like it so much. Yeah.
And Steve, close us out here.
I couldn't escape sci-fi stuff when I was a kid. My dad worked for NASA, and he was just a big sci-fi junkie. And so from the moment I could process what I was looking at on TV or going to movies or whatever, I mean, back in the mid-70s, it was like sci-fi, sci-fi, sci-fi. And then, of course, through the 80s, the horror generation, all this kind of stuff. But I was just, you know, raised on it, basically. So I was a big fan of the genre. And, you know, of course, even back then with sci-fi comes, you know, aliens, monsters, creatures, that sort of thing. And then I was more infatuated actually with the spaceships and stuff. And I wanted to get into miniatures and models and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of my more passion. But I went to school for business. And then ultimately, just because I was in Los Angeles, I had connections that led me to a creature shop and kind of fell in with them. But, you know, it was, I've always just kind of said it was meant to be, just even though I didn't pursue it actively initially, and not really until I was in my 20s. But yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for chatting with us today. This is so informational. I learned so much about each of your projects. We hope that we have our fingers crossed for you at the upcoming awards shows, and we're rooting for each of you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for chatting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.